fieldwork really taught me this one thing, or rather, I sometimes joke saying that it really beat me into submission, saying that you always keep the itinerary open. And I think that's exactly what is happening right now, also, and in work itself, navigating changes. I think that is such a big part of what we make and what we are where we are. So I think as part of work, that is what I've been focusing on. Pre-COVID, I'd been contemplating bringing work to South Asia from Southeast Asia, and I think now it's more clear that that is going to happen. I'm really fond of Kiki Smith's works. She's a New York based artist, and I remember it was 2012 when I first saw her works. It was a big green book of, I think it was a compilation of all her works over the years. And I remember sitting and flipping through all of it and feeling this instant attraction towards her art. Her drawing, her work really like goes across media. It's not just drawings, and but all of it has this sense of fragility, which I think is inspired by the natural world. But at the same time, it has this very strong feeling of resilience, and there's something very powerful about it, almost like a force. I think in art and design learning, we always have this luxury of a built space. What starts at a university then slowly transitions into a private studio, a lab, a workshop, access to museums, libraries, residencies. And all of a sudden, there's this unusual pause in that very acceptable mode of learning. We've been forced to step outside of these built spaces. I think personally for me, I think it's a good time to take that as an invitation to step outside of our older ways of doing things. Perhaps it's a good time to start questioning something as basic as what were we making in these built spaces? Who are artists? Why is art education so expensive? And if you're so determined, what kind of art are you likely to make? Moreover, what are we doing as shareholders of this enterprise? As an art community, what is our contribution to art education? Um, just by the virtue of being so expensive, I think the bigger question of who has access to art education? Are we alienating a class of people? Um, what is the language we use when we present art? That itself, I think, is a big question. And so, whether or not we go back to these built spaces or we choose to move on into a digital platform, I think these are some key concerns that, if left unanswered, will keep surfacing no matter what this art education space looks like. So, there's this poem by David White called Everything is Waiting for You. It's really been my go to poem for this lockdown period. Within that, there's this line that really sums it up for me. It says, alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. And I've seen this again and again in people with a creative bent of mind. They spend years in this pursuit to give space, to build alertness towards that one thing that really gets you. So it's no longer a superficial engagement with something. It's this one thing that has broken the surface and gone way past the crust, the mantle, and reached all the way to the core. And once you build this familiarity, when you build this connectedness with this one thing that you are following, I think that itself builds the will to create change. I think the ethos of the two is very different. What they bring to the table is very different. So I wouldn't do an either or. I wouldn't choose a digital experience over a spatial experience simply because I think the body itself has a huge part to play in our understanding of the world around us. So, say in a biennial or an art show, you have the luxury of moving around. You're moving your body around in a space within the art, and trying to understand it differently. I think a simple gesture such as I've seen people looking at an art piece like moving a little bit around it. I think that changes everything. On the other hand, the digital offers a longer experience, like a longer, deeper engagement, which I think is really important sometimes. Especially for me, since I was doing this work over a 5 year period, I didn't have the luxury of bringing it back into a space again and again. So simply by the virtue of sharing an image sometimes and having a really long conversation with somebody I didn't even know, and when they would message saying, "Hey, this is really interesting. Can you tell me more about this?" I think that's been really interesting. So I think for me, both are just as important. I thought I'll talk about this one particular image which I made late last year. It's an image of an open carcass of a peacock drawn on what is the surgical gloves wrapping sheet. This image is basically an outtake from a long interview that I did with a taxidermist in Bangkok. So, with this 4 hour long interview, I think my eyes were really just glued on to his blue gloved hands opening and cutting and stuffing what was a very beautiful peacock. Peacock industry is actually really big within the wildlife trade. They're used as decorative items.